Yay! Kansas City versus Philadelphia for the Super Bowl. Shit like this gives ammo to people who say the league is rigged. Personally, I'm not one of those people that say that because I do this crazy thing called watch the game and I know what happened. But I'll tell you, stuff like this does not help that case out. So if you know my channel, you'd know that on New Year's Day, I sat down here, and one of my goals this year was to talk more about games outside of my team on this channel because honestly, it gets tiring talking about my teams that have little to no hope for the future. So I'm going to try something different on this channel. So I'm not giving an official prediction for the Super Bowl yet. I'm gonna make that in about a week or so. Let that sit for a bit. But I'm gonna come on here and talk about what I saw from the conference title games yesterday. And really, it's pretty easy to understand that I saw two championship caliber teams win and take care of business. And I saw the losers, quite honestly, not execute. That's what I saw. People sit down and they say that they cry about the refs, they cry about the league being rigged. Fact of the matter is, here's the thing. Great teams find ways to win, and great teams always come out on top and take advantage of mistakes. So I'm just going to come on here and give my personal takeaways from what I saw from championship weekend. So I'll start with the easier one first, and that was the NFC title game between Washington and Philly. What the hell happened in this one? I mean, really. Now, I'm not surprised Washington lost. I had faith that they could win. Okay, I did. I was feeling myself a little bit. I felt high on them. And I really felt Washington can go into Philly and beat them, but I also knew that it'd be a tall order because the Eagles are a great team. They have, by leaps and bounds, the best offensive line in the league. They got the best running back in the game. They got a nice set of receivers. Jalen Hurts is a good playoff performer, and they got an elite defense. So I knew for a rookie quarterback to go into a hostile environment like that, where the Eagles have been in the NFC title game now 3 times in the last 8 years, and this is their third Super Bowl appearance in the last 8 years, I knew it was going to be a tall order. I am not surprised Washington lost, but I'm surprised in which the manner that they lost. Because all season, Washington was very careful with the football. They didn't really make a lot of penalties all season. They didn't really make a lot of mistakes. And they played very competitive all season. You know, they were a great Cinderella team this year. They had a phenomenal run after decades upon years of ineptitude with Dan Snyder. They made it all the way to the NFC Championship. So if I'm a Washington fan, I'd be like, yeah, we had a phenomenal season, but you know, what the hell happened in the NFC Championship? What happened? That's what I would be like if I was a Washington fan. Because I do think Washington does have a bright future. I think that they will be competitive for quite a while with Jaden Daniels. I think he is a phenomenal young sensation at quarterback, but let me tell you guys something, okay? It's not a guarantee you get back to the championship game next year. It's not. Because what if all the clutch moments don't go that happen this year don't go your way next year? What happens if Jaden Daniels has a sophomore slump? What happens if just about everything that went right for you this year goes wrong next year? It's not a guarantee that you make it back to the NFC Championship. It is hard to do that twice in a row. Okay? So that's what I would be like if I was a Washington fan. But yeah, I mean, I knew something was going to be very wrong from the very start of the game. Washington put together a really good drive. They burned like half the time off the clock in the first quarter. And they did all that for a field goal to go up 3-0. You're like, okay, well, they at least have a lead, but I would have liked to see them get a touchdown on the board, especially against a team like Philly. So, I mean, 3-0 is better than nothing. All Washington really has to do is just not let Saquon get a big lane and get a big gaping wound, and Washington does have a chance. Lo and behold, the very next sequence that happened, Philly takes the ensuing kickoff to their own 40. Okay, that's bad enough right there. They get a nice kickoff return. They take it to their own 40. Very next play, Saquon Barkley, 60-yard touchdown run, 7-3 Philly. So Washington had all that work to go up 3-0, only for the Eagles to get 7 points on one play. And it was the very thing that Washington could not afford to happen to them. A big run by Saquon Barkley, a big hole by the offensive line, because once Saquon gets past the defense, there ain't no stopping him. He is gone. How many times this year have we seen Saquon Barkley have a massive touchdown run like that? I mean, hell, we saw it twice the previous week against the Rams in that game alone, and it's just happened all season. This is why, in my opinion, Saquon has to be this is why, in my opinion, Saquon is my vote for MVP. If there's a running back to win MVP for the first time in 12 years, it's Saquon Barkley. The guy is just the total engine of this Philly offense, and without him, Philly would, Philly's offense would look drastically different. I don't want to say it would suck without him, but it would look drastically different. It only got worse from there on out from Washington. I mean, overall, just the turnovers killed them. I mean, Washington, they're not a team that really turns the ball over a whole lot. And the turnovers they had on Sunday were just fatal, especially the fumble on the kickoff after the Eagles failed a 2-point conversion. That one right there, to me, that was the turning point of the game, and that was the backbreaker for Washington. After that fumble on the kickoff right there for Washington, they never recovered from it. They never did. And all game, I mean, Washington was just was uncharacteristically undisciplined. They let their frustration get in the way. They lost total control of the game. You see it with stuff like late hits out of bounds. You see it with careless penalties. I mean, look, like it was at the point to where if Coach of the Year voting counted towards the playoffs, I honestly think this would be enough to disqualify Dan Quinn. Now, I think Dan Quinn had a phenomenal first year as head coach for Washington, and in my opinion, he is my top two. He is in my top three for Coach of the Year. Obviously, my other top two are Kevin O'Connell and Dan Campbell, but I don't know what happened. Like when I saw the NFC Championship yesterday, it's like I was watching two completely different teams. I didn't see that confident Washington team that went into Detroit and pulled off that win over the Lions, a 15-win team, no less. It was like I was watching two completely different teams. It was like I was watching a complete juggernaut go up against a team that just didn't belong in the NFL. And like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Washington because they had a phenomenal season, but you know me, I sit down here and I just tell it like it is. In the end, Philly won a complete laugher, 55-23, one of the worst championship games I've ever seen. I mean, it's right up there with 2017 when Philly blew the doors off Minnesota. Right up there with Giants Vikings, I think, in 2000. Trying to think of some other real bad ones I've seen, but those are definitely, I mean, this one is definitely right up there, man. I mean, you allow a team to put 55 on you in the NFC Championship. I mean, you better reevaluate how you coach your team like that, Dan Quinn. for real. That was just pitiful what I watched. So there's the thing with Washington and Philly right there. Then let's get on to Buffalo and Kansas City. So the Chiefs won 32-29, and kind of like Washington, I just saw a Buffalo team that just let their emotions get in the way early on, and they made a lot of mistakes as well. And you can't afford to do that when you're playing against a team like Kansas City. I'm sorry, guys. I know a lot of people were pulling for Buffalo to win. I know a lot of you watching this video wanted Buffalo to win, but the reality is when you make mistakes against a team like Kansas City, you're not going to go very far. Okay, you can get away with that playing bottom feeders. You can get away with that playing teams that had no business being in the playoffs. But against a dynasty in Kansas City, you're not going to get so lucky. You know, their emotions were in the way, their frustrations were in the way. The only thing, in my opinion, that Buffalo did right was that they won the turnover battle. Okay. And typically, when you win the turnover battle against Kansas City, let alone when it's a fumble by Patrick Mahomes, and Buffalo is able to turn said fumble into a touchdown, I would think that your chances of winning the game are going to increase. But this is what makes Kansas City such a great team. Because when they make a mistake, they make up for it. Very next drive, the Chiefs go 11 plays. They burn about 6 minutes off the clock. They go 70 yards down the field, a very methodical drive by Kansas City. They retake the lead 14-10, and Kansas City never relinquished the lead. You know? So that's just what it was. The Chiefs built up a 21-10 halftime lead, similar to last week with the Bills. They had a 21-10 lead on the Ravens at halftime, and now the very next week, it's an Uno reverse card for them. They're down 21-10 at halftime. I'll credit Buffalo. They came back, and they made it a competitive game. But like I said, the questionable play calling by Joe Brady, I thought was just the ultimate undoing for Buffalo in this game. And it seemed like every time the Bills tried to set up a screen, it seemed like every time they threw something at Steve Spagnuolo, he was ready for it. Spagnuolo was always going to send the house on Josh Allen, and typically Allen does well against the blitz. But last night, it didn't seem to be the case for that. You know, like I said, I credit Buffalo. They battled hard after being down 21-10, but you know, the early mistakes, that's what cost them. The careless play calling, that's what cost them. And I think the one that everyone can agree with, that drop by Dalton Kincaid, I mean, he has to make that catch. I understand it's fourth down. I understand that Allen got, I understand the Chiefs sent the house on Allen right there, and he basically had to throw up a desperation pass right there. I get that. But here's the thing. He chucked the ball up. He chucked it right into Dalton Kincaid's hands. He was in position to make an incredible catch right there. He dropped it. You got to make that catch, bro. Sorry. You got to make that catch. So that's the thing right there. Chiefs took advantage, went down the field, kicked the game-winning field goal, 32-29, converted a crucial third down, and that's the ball game right there. That's what makes the Chiefs so great. That's what makes them the dynasty, man. Great teams find ways to win. Great teams capitalize off other teams' mistakes. So, yeah, for the second time in 3 years, we're getting Kansas City and Philadelphia. Last time these two met in the Super Bowl was a couple years ago. Kansas City won. Like I said, I'm not going to have an official prediction out for the game until like next week. I want to let these games sit for a little bit so I can get my thoughts in order for the game, because in my tournament, I did advance to the Super Bowl. Second year in a row that I'm going to the Super Bowl, and I'm looking to pull off something that's never been done in my tournament, repeat as a Super Bowl champion. So there you go right there. But yeah, I wanted to come down here and just give my takeaways on both conference championships. It was just the better team won, the better team executed more, The better teams came on and they just straight up took advantages. They straight up took advantage of other teams' misfortunes, and the losers, you know, they just shot themselves in the foot and they just couldn't recover. Plain and simple. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Mac, checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.